Matt, the Colts are coming off back-to-back wins here. The Jets, the Jaguars, 5-5. Playoff obviously still in sight here.
Playoffs.
You've got Buffalo, you've got Tampa Bay, and I know that there are some tough games down the stretch. You've got some division games still on the schedule, but are these next two games the tone setters for the rest of the season?
Dustin, you read my mind, pal. 100%. Well, I think you absolutely nailed it, my man. I mean, let's go. I mean, this is it. This is 7 games left. You started horribly. You started 0-3, 1-4. The schedule got you. Injuries got you. Drama got you with COVID at the beginning of the season. A rocky start with training camp. Now you're even. Right now I feel like the team has this big weight lifted off their shoulders. Right. Let's get rid of the gorilla off our back. And they're 5-5. You've got the destiny in your own hands, and the perception is right nationally that the Colts aren't good enough. They're not good enough to beat good teams. They're not a good team because they can't beat playoff teams. They're 0 for their last 8 against teams that made the postseason in 2020. Let's go, right? I mean, let's go. These next 2 games against Buffalo and Tampa Bay, these are tone setters. It's a chance to gain some respect around the league, and I think getting victories in these 2 games, or at least splitting one of these 2 games, would be big psychologically for this team down the stretch, because inevitably, if they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to have to beat good teams. Not only do they have these 2 games coming up, but they got to play the Cardinals, they got to play the Patriots, and they got to play the Raiders. They look like a team that's, kind of that fringe playoff team. So everything has kind of come back to them a little bit, right? I mean, outside of the Titans running away with the division, everything else in the AFC has sort of come back to reality where, the Bengals started hot, but they've lost back-to-back games. The Chargers started hot, but they've, what are they, 5-4 right now? The Browns are 5-5. So you got a lot of teams that are sort of middle of the pack. You got 7 teams, I believe, in the AFC with at least 5 wins right now. So everything's right there. You got to start beating good teams. It's kind of, I hate this phrase, but it's time to kind of put up or shut up. And it's a great opportunity right now for the Colts to kind of gain some respect around the NFL and prove that they are good enough to beat these teams. And quite frankly, they should have a couple of wins this year against quality competition, like the Titans, right? When you're up 14-0, against the Ravens, when you're up 19-0 in the fourth quarter, unable to kind of close it out. So getting off the fast starts has not been a problem for the Colts, i.e. up 17-0 against the Jaguars on Sunday. You're up 42-10 against the Jets, and then they go on that run to close out that game, 20-3 at one point. So getting off to a fast start has not been a problem. It's finishing strong for the Colts. That's what they're trying to figure out.
So that leads into my next question. And first of all, you got me fired up. Like I'm ready to run through a brick wall now, and they don't even play for a couple days here. So I'm fired up now. You did your job there.
That's what I'm doing.
I guess my next question is, and this really isn't maybe necessarily on the football side, but what you just said kind of leads me into that next question. To you, I've seen the Colts play well on both sides of the ball, different games throughout this season. Like to me, when you look at how they've lost some of these close games, you mentioned the Rams, you mentioned the Ravens, some of these other games, the Titans. Is this all about mentality, these next 2 games? Like when they get in those tight situations, making enough plays, like I think that they have the talent to do it. I think they have the ability to do it. It's just, is that weighing on the back of their mind? Like we've come close, here we go again type of thing?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think it is psychological. I think getting a win would really bode well for this team psychologically, knowing that we're good. I mean, if you look at the roster top to bottom, I mean, it is a good roster. I know they've had their injuries, and I know some guys are on IR, like Paris Campbell and Julian Blackmon in the back end at safety. But if you just look at them on paper, it is a playoff worthy team. I think it is a team on paper that is much better than 5-5. But the old Bill Parcells line, right? I mean, you are what your record says you are, and the Colts are right there. I mean, 5 up, 5 down, right in the middle. So it is one of those things where they have to mentality-wise change how they play in the second half. It is, no plays let down, right? I mean, you can't take any plays off. I mean, you saw that against the Jaguars. Colts are up 17-0. I mean, it appears that, they got a block punt for a touchdown, and you had the feeling like, okay, the Colts are going to win 100-0 today. And then all of a sudden, Jamal Agnew takes an end around, a sweep to the left side on a jet sweep, and he turns it into a 66-yard score. One play just like that changes the entire narrative of the game, like the entire feel of the game. That's what the Colts have to avoid these letdowns. And it was personified beautifully last year in that playoff game, right? I mean, the Colts had a chance to go up 17-7 with about 2 minutes to go in the second quarter on the road. I know it's, no fans last year due to the COVID situation, but on the road against the number 2 seed in the AFC. And then on first and goal, you don't get it in. You end up going for it on fourth down and a questionable decision. You don't make it. So it's kind of a deflating turn of events there. And then right before the half, the Bills go on a 96-yard drive. They get a touchdown right before the half. And it's just like one thing. It's right. It's one thing kind of changes the game and it kind of deflates the Colts. That's why they have to kind of put their foot down and really kind of choke these teams off when they have a chance to kind of finish these games off. And it doesn't matter if it's in the fourth quarter and the second quarter. When you have a chance to really kind of put teams away, that's where the Colts have come up short. That's what they're striving for, is going from a good team that can compete with these teams to a great team that can finish these teams off.
Well, they had the opportunity this Sunday as they'll have to travel and play outside up in New York against the Bills. It's a tough environment, but you're going to have those. The defense has been looking incredible for I think they're peaking right now, Matt, on the defensive side.
Well, it's going to be a great challenge on both sides of the ball. I mean, like you said, the Bills are number 2 in the NFL in scoring. Josh Allen, one of the premier quarterbacks in the league. Stephon Diggs, one of the best playmaking wide receivers in the league. They've got Cole Beasley. They got a really good offensive line. They got a pretty good running game, and Devin Singletary. And then defensively, they don't have they don't have guys that are going to like stand out to you in terms of like defensive ends that have 12 sacks or guys in the back end that have 8-9 interceptions. But what they do is they play the scheme very good collectively. They got a bunch of guys that buy into the system, that play the scheme very well. So statistically speaking, they're elite, right? I mean, they're number 1 in so many different categories defensively, including yards allowed per game, points per game, third down, red zone. Those are all the things that really matter in this league. Completion percentage, passer rating against. So it's going to be a really good challenge for the Colts. I think offensively, they've proven in these last 5 weeks they can move the ball and score on just about anybody, but it's can you make enough plays in crunch time? Defensively, can you get stops? And can you make, plays in the pivotal moments, whether that's at the end of the first half or in the fourth quarter?
Yep, and we'll see. Hopefully they can get that done this week and keep those playoff hopes alive as they travel up to Buffalo. They will shuffle off to Buffalo. Enjoy your trip, Matt.
Will do. Looking forward to it, my guys. I appreciate you.
We appreciate you. Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, taking a few minutes to join us here on Indiana Sports Beat as the Colts prepare to go to Buffalo.